Hi, I'm Pastor David with Declaration Church, and I've been thinking a lot lately about the idea of being a follower. And I remember when I was growing up in middle school, in high school, the idea of being a follower was like one of the things, just like one of the worst things in the world. You wanted to avoid that like the plague, because being a follower was terrible, all right? You didn't want to be considered a follower, like you were just somebody trying to fit in. And just trying to do the things that cool people do. You were just trying to just fit in with the cool crowd. And what was funny about that is that pretty much everybody was trying to do that, especially in middle school. In middle school, you're trying to find your place and you're trying to find your group. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to find your friends. And so you want to fit in. And so you're looking around trying to figure out how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to dress, what you're supposed to say, how you're supposed to say things, and how you can find your people and fit into a group. And that is the funniest thing of all to me, because everybody is following something and someone, trying to fit into some group so that they're not all by themselves. Everybody is trying to be cool. Everybody's trying to fit in with something. Whether you're the one in the popular crowd and you've got all the trends nailed down and you know exactly what trends are in right now and which ones have gone out of style and how to fit into all of the best and the coolest of the cool, or you're just trying to fit in with whatever that person is doing, or you're trying to fit in with the anti-cool crowd, wherever you might fit in the huge spectrum of all of the different groups, everybody's following somebody trying to be who they're supposed to be so that they fit in with somebody. And then eventually, I think everybody gets to the point where they start to really appreciate the idea of the loner. You know, the cool loner guy, the cool loner girl who doesn't need anyone. They're just self-sufficient and they're good on their own. They don't need people. They can just hang out by themselves and that's all they need. And so then that becomes the cool and everybody's looking at that and saying, wow, that is the coolest thing. And what's funny about all of that is that, you know, being a loner is really not something that we were ever supposed to be. None of us were meant to live completely alone on our own with no support. In fact, when God created human beings, the first one he made, he looked at all of the creation, he looked at that and he said, you know, it's not good for the man to be alone. He needs a companion. He needs another person. He needs relationship. That's what God said when he looked at everything. And so he made a companion for that one singular lone human being because he knew that the man needed that companionship. He needed that relationship. And we all do. We all need other people. We all need others so that we can flourish and live the life that's abundant and full and what God always intended for us. And I think it's interesting that, you know, the follower is generally looked on negatively. The loner is generally looked on as cool. And then in reality, all of us have a hard time figuring out who we are and just being authentic to that identity. And all of us need relationship. And I was reading in Matthew 20, and I did a previous video on these same verses, but Matthew 20:34 is really interesting to me because it says, and Jesus in pity touched their eyes. So there are two blind men, they're screaming for help as Jesus and this huge crowd walk by. They get rebuked by the rest of the crowd, the crowd is following Jesus. These guys are crying out for help. The crowd is rebuking them. They're just screaming even louder, trying to get Jesus' attention. They finally do. He says, what do you guys want me to do? And they said, heal us, you know, give us our sight. We want to recover our sight. And so that's where we come in verse 34. And it says, and Jesus in pity touched their eyes, and immediately they recovered their sight. And so now they can see, and they're grateful, and they're full of life, and they're so excited that they can see. And they followed him. They followed him. I've come in contact with a lot of people in my life, and what I know to be true is that all of us go through life in one way or another to start things off blind to certain things. I don't know everything. I don't see the world and all of its intricacies perfectly accurately, and neither do you, and nobody does. None of us do. So it's important for us to be open and willing to listen to other people's perspectives so that we can gain a better understanding of the world around us. We can gain a better understanding of how things work. But we're all blind to a certain extent. And what I've discovered is that when I regain my sight, when I'm able to see more clearly because of Jesus and my relationship with him and him opening my eyes to who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, what my calling is, what my purpose is, when I see how to live authentically as myself in the world, and I start living that way, the only response that I have to what Jesus has done is to follow him. It's to listen for his voice and to follow his instructions, to watch him and to do what he does, to try and do my best to live my life in a way that is authentic to who I am and honors Jesus and what he's done for me. And so that really is the challenge and the encouragement for all of us as followers of Jesus is, one, we're meant to follow Jesus. And two, because of all that he's done for us and the way that he's opened our eyes to the truth and what we need and given us everything we need for life and salvation, that our proper response is to follow him and to begin to live our lives in a way that honors him for what he's done and that follows the path that he's laid out for each one of us as individuals. Because I'm not you, you're not me. We're all going to live a life that's a little different from the other, but every one of our lives as followers of Jesus should reflect God's influence and our true identity. Because by following Jesus, both of those things will be evident in our lives. And so my challenge to all of us today is to discover who you are and then live that out authentically as you follow Jesus. Follow Jesus and do so in a way that is unique to you but true to Scripture. And it might sound really difficult or really confusing or something that almost is impossible to do, but the reality is as you develop your relationship with Jesus because you're following him, it becomes easier and easier because who you are as a reflection of God becomes more and more evident. And just being who you are will honor him. Because loving God and loving others as yourself, every commandment hangs on those two things. Jesus himself said that. And so if you know Jesus, if you've seen the truth and you know that you need him in your life, follow him. Follow him. And be authentic to who he's created you to be. And your life will be full and abundant just like he always wanted. Jesus said, I've come that they may have life and have it to the full. And that's how it's done. Following Jesus authentically in your own identity, the way he created you to be. So go do that today. So if this has been encouraging to you and a challenge, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and continue to walk with Jesus as he leads you through scripture and prayer and meditation in your relationship with him. And hopefully, I'll be able to be a part of that as well. Thanks for letting me be a part of that today. I hope that as you continue to follow Jesus, you'll continue to watch these videos and grow from that. So check out our other playlist on how to study the Bible. If you still are having a hard time with that, I've got a few hints. It's going to be right up here. Click on that, watch the playlist, and hopefully that helps. Thanks for letting me be a part of your journey with Jesus today. As always, I'm Pastor David, and I'm out.